Hey guys, welcome back to part 7 of the best PC racing simulator. Today we are in Assetto Corsa, and it is the Formula America car from RSS, Race Sim Studio, which is essentially an Indy car from the 2020 season, I believe. This is an amazing mod. It's a paid mod, but man, RSS puts out some really good modded content. And there are so many good mods for AC. That will be a big part of this discussion when it comes to the wholeness and the full experience that Assetto Corsa can give you in 2024. As you can see, I am in VR. I'm using a HUD that is CMRT HUD, which is a Patreon paid HUD. They actually do have an essential version that is, I think you just got to pay $1 a month. You can basically go activate your Patreon, pay them $1 or maybe $2, download it, and then deactivate it. Anyways, I am in VR, and this game is just incredible looking. It honestly, so I'm running Content Manager, of course. I think just about everyone who plays AC in 2024 is using Content Manager, and then that also means you're using Custom Shader Patch, so CSP. And I'm also a Patreon to CSP because I want to support those guys, and so I'm using the latest preview they've got available. And yeah, Content Manager with CSP, and then also add in the pure shader and lighting mod that another Patreon has done and is amazing, and I'm also a member of that. This game looks insane. This game looks the best of any sim I think available today. I think it's better, actually. There might be one other that comes kind of close, but with the pure clouds and sky textures and lighting, effects that he's been able to hone in, and with custom shader patch and VR, it's incredible. So, and the game runs so smoothly. It doesn't matter if you use a monitor or triple screens or VR; it just runs perfectly. And something that, to me, I'm a bit strange, maybe, but I like my HUD, my UI to be positioned where I want it to be. To me, it's kind of important to have just the amount of data I want to have and to have it where I want it. And again, no other sim comes close to what you can get in AC. So there's so many great modded UI elements, or you can do something like I did here with CMRT and you just get it all in one place. Yeah, and it really makes a big difference to me because I just can learn. I can put everything where I want it and then know it's there, and it's easy to peek at. It works perfectly in VR, and so that's that. The game looks amazing. I think everyone who's played it, especially with the pure or the soul add-on, will say the same thing. And yeah, it's a great experience in that sense. And talking about physics, with this car here, so the RSS open wheel cars are, that car lost it in front of me, are very pointy cars, and they're actually really hard to drive, most of them. I think they're probably some of the most realistic modded cars for AC, and they capture the combination of great physics engine that AC has with the great tire model it has and the great force feedback. And of course, these cars, I think they've got their own tire adjustments that they've made, and that's why they are quite a bit more peaky than typical AC cars. They're also a little bit more oversteery in general. A lot of the AC stock or cars that come with the game might have a little bit of understeer tendency. It's still not really that bad, and you can certainly work it out with the setup. But these cars are much edgier, much pointier, and the tires are much sharper. So, you know, they're hard to drive. You know, a lot of times you might think AC is just a little too simplified or easy to drive, and they're really not. But this just speaks to the vastness of AC content. But I don't want that to take away at all from the stock content that comes with AC, because you don't have to go get mods. Ooh, that was quite a move right there. You don't have to get mods to get a good experience or even a great experience with AC. You can go play the stock cars and tracks and have an amazing time. The Ferrari F2004 is one of the best Formula One cars in any sim ever, still today. The Mazda MX-5 Cup car is just as good as any other MX-5 Cup car, and those are all Kuno. Those are Kuno's cars, and Kuno's made a ton of cars. They've got a great selection of tracks, all, you know, that come with the game as well, and they're all really well done. So, the force feedback in AC to me is unmatched by anything else. When you mix that with the fact that the tire model actually lets you drive over the limit without, you know, them turning off completely or without you just gaining time, it's a great balance. When you mix that with the force feedback that allows you to feel what the tire is doing at the limit, to me it's the best combination you can have. Also, as you can hear, this car sounds amazing. You know, and again, all of the Kuno's cars sound really good. That F2004 sounds incredible. But yeah, depending on how much time or effort the mod creator put into it, if you're getting a mod, yeah, the sounds are usually much better than any other, you know, sim or game that is available. Although, you know, the sounds aren't perfect, I guess, because there is such a wide range of sounds. It's not, everything's not going to be maybe perfect. But another advantage of CSP with Content Manager is you can go in there and you can tweak all the sounds specifically how you want them. So if you want a sim that gives you the most potential options and tweaks and button flips and sliders, well, this is that. And if you don't want that, then this could be a big turnoff, because it does take a little bit of extra effort if you're into that, you know, to kind of tweak everything. Now, really, the stock settings within Content Manager are plenty fine for just about anybody to go use, but you can always do some additional things. And, you know, following up into the idea of content, I mean, there's everything for AC. In fact, one of the the newest preview of CSP includes a whole rally system, and I haven't even looked into it that much, but essentially it looks like the rally system has pace notes that will automatically populate for every stage or track. It's incorporated some new stage timing, so, you know, and there are dirt physics in AC that have not really been very good. I haven't really tried them, and so, you know, maybe they'll work on that and get that better. I don't know, but it's really amazing how AC is now moving into that point where it could actually become a rally sim in the future as well. So the content is off the charts. Now, the AI in AC might be a little bit one of the weak points. As you can see at the start of the race, they don't start the race very well. There's no rolling start option. That's one of the other kind of bummers with AC. But they kind of start really slowly, or a lot of times they'll get bottled up at the start and just come to a complete stop. And now I will say the AI did actually pass me a couple times here, which is pretty rare. When you think about AI, a lot of times you just think about, oh, I'm passing them. Does the game actually, you know, have smart enough AI that they actually can make passes themselves? And, you know, they do or can make a pass here or there, but they're certainly raceable. they're just generally not quite as good as some other sims. It's one of the things that CSP has not been able to completely make right, although they're certainly a lot better now than they were before CSP. So they're definitely raceable. You can go set up custom championships. That was a perfect example of the AI right there. They just bottled up in that corner for some reason, and he just came to almost a complete stop. And yes, I was a little bit rude getting back, but overall the AI is workable. It's definitely usable, but it's not as good as some other sims. Now when it comes to multiplayer, AC is way up there. If you go check Steam, it's got more concurrent players than maybe even iRacing. I don't know how many players are in iRacing, but certainly it has way more players than any other sim outside of that. Now the funny thing is, most people playing AC today are either doing Nordschleife track days or Shotoku traffic driving. So not necessarily racing. Those two things are fun. Or drifting. Drifting is also pretty popular and pretty big. But yeah, the multiplayer player base for AC is very good, and you can certainly find race servers of unranked races, you know, pretty much all the time. A lot of these servers do have their own point system as well, so that can be fun. But the big heartbreak with AC is that there isn't any ranked system built into the game. So for that, you have to go to Low Fuel Motorsport, LFM, and they have support for AC, so you can make an account there. They have, I think, maybe 9 series that run right now for this season at different times, and so you can do ranked racing there. You will get a rating and a safety rating, and it works well. For the most part, the competition for me has been very good, although you can find some reckless people in there. It's certainly better than open servers, though. It's not ideal. It's unfortunate that AC doesn't have this built in, and hopefully AC Evo will solve that problem for us. We'll see. And just to close out before I finish this last lap and we move into scoring, AC is cheap. If you get it on sale, you can buy the Ultimate Edition for less than $10, and that's what I did, and that's what I would say you do. As soon as it goes on sale, if you don't own all the content, buy it all. It's definitely worth it, especially for $8 or $10, just for the single player part of it alone. There are actually some challenges and things you can do there. So the cost of it is really almost unmatched as well. So with that, this race is over, as you can see, and we're going to move into scoring it. Alright, let's get into scoring AC. Now, just to note, I have turned off the previous scores. We're going to go without any previous scores from here on in, just so that we can kind of reveal it all at the end, okay? Okay, starting off, graphics for AC. You heard me boast about them during the video. I don't think there's very much for me to say. If you go get CSP and you go get the pure textures lighting system mod, you are not going to be disappointed. This game looks so sharp, it runs so smoothly, works flawlessly in VR as well, and the sky textures are almost like real life. It's crazy. 10 out of 10. This is an easy 10. Physics, well, I love the AC physics. I think for the most part they are spot on, great. Maybe a somewhat simplified system, but they work so well and they communicate well. Here's the only thing I have against the physics, and I am going to take some off for this. There is a problem with curbing in AC, and it's still yet to be fixed. Not to go on for too long about it, but certain cars, certain curbs, even if they're a low curb that you should be able to ride, you really cannot hardly touch them without the car kind of just very quickly losing control. It's pretty frustrating because it actually makes racing a bit difficult because you have to kind of avoid curbs, and that kind of goes against what curbs are for on a racetrack, right? So to me, this is kind of a big deal, and I really hope someone fixes it at some point. No one's really seemed to found a way. It's probably pretty embedded into the physics. So for that reason alone, I'm going to knock off a couple points. I'm going to say the physics are an 8 out of 10. Now the tire model, I think it has to own maybe a little bit of the fault of the curbing issue. I don't know if it's totally the physics and handling, or if it has something to do with the way the tire model sees it, because it is a single point tire model. Again, it is somewhat of a simplified tire model in modern day, but it doesn't matter, it works. It's just like AMS1's tire model that works so very well, was, you know, an empirical model. Same thing with AC. So I love the way the tires operate in AC, probably more than any other sim, because they let you choose where to drive and how to drive the car. That's why drifting is so big in AC, and for my driving style especially, it works. So I'm not going to give it a perfect 10 because of the curbing issue, but I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. Force feedback in AC, I think, is probably it's definitely as good as AMS1. It's better than any other game has ever developed FFB, including AMS2, which I think is really good. It gives you what you need to have in order to drive the car on the edge of grip, and to me, that's what a sim ought to do. I don't care if the sim is trying to be super realistic and only giving you certain forces. If those forces aren't communicating to you what they need to communicate, then it doesn't really matter, right? So, at least in my opinion, 10 out of 10 for the force feedback is amazing. The sounds in many ways are very similar. They're extremely good. I have a hard time giving a perfect score to sounds, just because it is, you know, a very subjective thing, but also very wide range, because you're going to have some cars that just sound amazing and other cars maybe not. And because AC has such vast content, I think it makes it difficult for every car to sound superb, right? So for that reason alone, I'm going to knock a point off, but to me the sounds in AC are superb, so 9 out of 10. Content, we don't need to talk that much about this. Just buying the base game gets you a good amount of content, but this is the most modded sim probably in the history of sim racing. It's got more available for it than anything else. So whatever you want to do outside of maybe oval racing, it's here. The content is easily a 10. So the AI in single player, I'm rating this kind of poorly, because the AI does frustrate me a lot and I think it needs some work. But there is actually single player content in AC. So there's a whole list of challenges you can do and races against AI that you can do. You can set up your own championships, like I said, and pick the car and the track and the schedule and even the point system. That's part of Content Manager. So it's really not as bad as I was initially thinking. But the AI still frustrates me, because it can be quite unraceable at times. Depends on the car, depends on the track. So because of that, I'm going to just give it a 5 out of 10. It's okay, but it's certainly not like got a career mode. Okay. Now the player base is huge in AC. You're always going to have a set of servers that are going to be almost full. It just may not be what you want. If you're looking to do hardcore racing, even just unranked racing or whatever, you're not going to find as much of that as you're going to find just track days or drifting or something else. So the player base is very good, but it's not, for my focus of player base for doing races, it's not as good as it could be. And part of that's because I live in the US and LFM's population is pretty bad for US times. If you live in Europe, you probably are going to have a lot more players on LFM on any given evening. So I'm going to give the player base a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's very good. You can always find races. And, with the ranking system, as I discussed in the video, it doesn't exist in the game. It's the biggest heartbreak of AC, is that it doesn't have any ranking system. So you got to go outside of the game, which is just not ideal. It's not something you want to have to do. So it works, and it works pretty well. I think it's, you know, something that will grow over time. But as long as it's not in the sim, it kind of just adds a frustration level, and you know, it just makes it more of a hassle, and it's just not as cool, right? It just doesn't feel like you're actually playing it in there. You want to be able to open the game and see what rank your friends are, and see what, you know, compared to what you are, and be able to see whoever, you know, everyone else's rank when you go to race. And you can't do that with LFM. It's a third-party thing. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 here. And then the cost for AC is superb. It's, you know, other than Richard Burns, which is free, to me, AC is the best value on the market, because you can get it for $10 or less, the Ultimate Edition, and then all the mod content is essentially free. There are paid content things, but I'm telling you, if those are worth more in most cases than going and spending 2 or 3 times that in another sim. Like the RSS GT3 cars, I think, are probably the best GT3 cars in sim racing. That's my opinion. But anyways, the score for the cost is just a 10 out of 10. So AC comes away with 4 10s, and really a couple more that were right there really close. So with a total score of 85 out of 100, that is pretty good. You know, my scoring has been quite harsh. I'm not just giving people, or, you know, giving games high scores and a lot of 10s and 9s. You got to earn them. So AC getting an 85 is a big deal, and I think that puts it probably at the top of the board. We'll see how it goes when we finish all this up. But yeah, I think Assetto Corsa's hit almost all the things. If it just had a ranking system, that'd be it. We can only hope for AC Evo, right? Alright guys, well that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you stay for part 8, which will be ACC coming up next. So until that time, happy sim racing, and we'll see y'all later.